After 2 unforgettable and wild months exploring Alaska, it's time to say goodbye. We've hiked on glaciers, watched a Kodiak bear look for food, and seen orcas swim in the wild. We've also driven more miles than we can count. But this story's not over just yet. Before we close this chapter, there's one last stop. A funky little town tucked away on the top of the world. The kind of place you only find if you're really looking. Then we continue down the road, a winding stretch of wilderness that leads us across the border and into Canada, and eventually to a gold rush town frozen in time, Dawson City. So grab a coffee, buckle up, and let's go on one last Alaskan adventure before we roll into something completely new. If you're new here, hi, I'm Emily. This is Brian and our adventure pup Wes. We've been living full-time in our converted Sprinter van since July 2024. And this summer, we had the amazing pleasure of chasing the wild through the heart of Alaska. This is our adventure out there. Well, guys, sadly, our time in Alaska is coming to an end. We've got to move on. We probably only have 1 or 2 more nights here before we hit the Canadian border for our next big adventure up through the Yukon. And we'll kind of recap what our favorite places were in Alaska over the last couple of months later in this video. But I think it's time for us to hit the road.
Yeah, we've got a long drive ahead of us. Oh! Let's check the game cam.
Yes,
we're back in wolf country.
Can't forget that.
Let's see if we got anything. All right. Nothing. I think we're pretty much all packed up. Let's hit the road. We've been driving for about 5 hours today. We just reached top of the world highway, and we've got about another hour to our next destination, which is another funky little town in Alaska.
This morning we are waking up in Chicken, Alaska. The town, I guess, was originally supposed to be called Ptarmigan, but nobody could spell or pronounce that, so they came up with the name Chicken, which is just as funky of a little town as you can imagine by the name. We got in last night. There's a little saloon here that we hung out at. They have this tradition of a panty blaster that I can really only describe by putting some video here for you.
Panty cannon.
Panty cannon. Whose panties are in there? Yours? Yours? Your panties are in there.
I did last time. Barno! You gotta go grab them. Thank you.
And then the panties end up hanging from the ceiling.
And so did one of our hats.
For years.
No panties from us, though.
No.
Just a hat. We'll show you around a little bit more of this cute little town, but first we got to go in the cafe and find some coffee. So here we are at the Ptarmigan statue. I know I said earlier that people couldn't spell or pronounce ptarmigan, so they called it chicken. It was actually just the original gold settlers here that couldn't spell it, so they named it chicken. And today this is actually still a very active gold camp. It's one of the last surviving gold rush towns in Alaska, which is pretty cool. And you'll see people here that are still mining for gold, and they're still finding stuff. We actually met somebody at the saloon last night that had a nice little vial of gold on him. So if you want to test your luck, definitely come up to Chicken.
There are about 2 people that live here year round, the postmaster and their spouse, and then in the summer you get about 30 people full time. I would totally suggest coming up here. It's a super fun town. There is free camping here where we stayed last night behind the saloon. There's also the gold camp here. It's actual campground. It's only open in the summer, but they do have amenities here. And there's also a cafe along with the cafe over by the saloon. So there's a couple places to eat.
And that's about all in Chicken.
Yep. We're about 42 miles from the Canadian border. So we're gonna get moving on here soon. We haven't quite left Alaska yet, but we already miss it. It's time to move on.
All right, the northernmost international border crossing in North America. Yukon.
We're back in the Yukon, back in Canada. Really easy border crossing. We did forget that we had firewood in the back and they made us dispose of that, but other than that, we had the rabies certificate for Wes, our passport's ready. Yeah, really easy crossing. Let's go to Dawson City. 2 minutes into Canada and we've already seen a bear.
We love Canada.
Yeah, it was cool.
As we were driving here on the top of the world highway, we had to stop and look at some of this beautiful fireweed. I'm pretty obsessed with the plant. When we were up in Alaska last summer, a very wise old native told us it's called fireweed because the blooms go up the plant like a little firecracker the further the season progresses into summer. So in spring, the flowers are all down at the bottom here, and then by fall, they're up at the top, and it actually will eventually turn into cotton. And she said, once the fireweed turns into cotton, then you know you only have a couple of more weeks left until winter. And I just think it's really cool how symbolic it is and progresses with the season, and I just absolutely love this stuff.
Made it to Dawson City. All we have to do now is wait for the ferry to take us over the Yukon River. Think we'll get on the next one?
I hope we do.
I'm gonna say yes, we will. Pretty crazy how this ferry moves too. There's like such a big current. River's moving fast. Do you think we'll get on the next ferry?
I hope so.
Gauging how they're loading vehicles, we might. This vacuum truck just pulled up and it's a commercial vehicle, so I'm thinking it might get priority, which would put us in the next ferry. Luckily, Emily and Wes walked down here because we had been waiting about 45 minutes and really weren't moving anywhere. And she walked down a ways, we were way up the road, and she discovered that there are different lanes for lengths of vehicle. So we were in the long coach vehicle, coaches pulling cars. So she came back up. She's like, hurry, let's go. There's a separate line for Gertie. So I was hoping we'd get on this one. But like I said, this commercial vehicle just pulled up. So that is probably going to push us back one more. But I'm so glad we're not still waiting way up the road, because these coaches are going to be here for a while.
Hours.
Yeah.
I bet it's hours.
And then I did see, it's 5 o'clock now. Tour buses take priority after 5. So fingers crossed we don't see any of those.
Getting on the next ferry.
Yeah, they didn't take the commercial vehicle, so that saved us.
Is old Gertrude gonna fit? Gertie's got a big booty.
We did it, we got on the ferry. We did it, I'm glad that we're married.
What do you think of the ferry, buddy? We get to ride on this one with you, which is pretty cool.
We just went across the Yukon River. It's pretty cool. This thing's moving. The river, that is.
We're going upstream,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
It's definitely a kind of a weird feeling.
All right, we're here in Dawson City, and we've got a nice little RV campground here, so we can get some showers before we go on a really cool adventure we'll tell you about in a bit. But one of the first things you have to do when you get to Dawson City, or maybe you don't have to do, but we're going to, is join a little club called the Sour Toe Club. Let's go.
What is it?
Let's go find out. The Sour Toe dates back to the 1920s, when some brothers were running rum into Alaska during the Prohibition days. During a blizzard, one of the brothers got frostbite and they had to amputate his toe, which they then put into alcohol, only for it to be discovered by the captain in the 1970s, 50 years later. It was completely dried out, petrified, and hard as a rock. That night, the captain invented the Sour Toe Club, and it's now world famous. There are a couple of different toes today that have been donated from people over the years, losing them to lawnmowers, axes, and the like, but the sour toe tradition lives on.
Fast. And you get slow. Tulips must touch this gnarly gold. Those tulips. Oh, they come. Well. I got her. I have to try it twice now.
Touch the...
Hey, are you ready?
I'm ready. Cheers, Captain. Thank you.
It wasn't as bad as we thought. And now I have the certificate. We're talking about this in an alley, which is weird. But we did find out there's a place in town that we have to go check out because it's named after our van, Gertie. Diamond Tooth Gertie's got a pretty sweet gambling hall, can show. We're in here for the night. Let's see what it's all about. That was a lot of fun. It's 11 o'clock at night. It's still bright as out. But we got a long day ahead of us tomorrow, a big drive day. So we're going to go back to camp, take some showers, get some rest. See you in the morning.
Hi, buddy. Hello. That was a really fun night in Dawson City.
Yeah, that was.
I would definitely go back. It has a lot of really like old gold rush vibes. Also pretty touristy, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it's our first night. It was our first night that we've been out of Alaska, and like, I don't know how to describe it, except I honestly feel kind of homesick. I really miss Alaska.
Yeah, Alaska's a really, really special place to us.
Yeah, you know, last night we were talking like what some of our favorite times over the past 2 months were in Alaska, and I know you had a few things. What were your like top 3 favorite things that we did?
The first thing I would say was getting to explore Alaska this year with friends.
Yeah.
Like friends from home, new friends. Made this year's trip so much better. Getting to share our favorite spots with them. And then even hanging out with some locals one night was probably one of my favorite nights.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So that, and then I'd say second thing would have to definitely be hiking the Root Glacier. Something about walking on hundreds of feet of solid, beautiful, clear ice, the little waterfalls that come out of it, just definitely one of my highlights.
Yeah, last thing,
I'd have to say Kodiak Island.
Yeah.
Everything about it, from the ferry, the wildlife, the island itself.
The ferry. Can we talk about the orcas for a second? Okay, seeing orcas in the wild is number one, or it's been up on my bucket list for a really, really long time. Actually, number one on my bucket list is snorkeling with orcas in the wild.
Which means I'm going to have to snorkel orcas in the wild.
Would you guys snorkel with orcas in the wild? Let us know. Leave a comment below. But that's like number one on my bucket list. So to have that experience from the ferry, just seeing them was, you know, made me even more excited for hopefully doing that someday in the future.
Yeah, and we got to see Kodiak bear on the island, which we were told we were pretty lucky with. It was this chance seeing it on the side of the highway.
Very cool.
The weather was amazing. The weather in Alaska this year was just, we got so lucky the whole time. Yeah, those my favorite 3 things. What about you?
Number one, I would have to say the couple of days that we spent at that beautiful turquoise lake after we got evacuated from the Homer Spit due to the tsunami. I just love that lake, fell in love with it last year, and then being able to experience it and share it with Life of Matza made it even that much cooler. Number 2 favorite thing I would have to say was the wildlife glacier cruise that we did out of Seward of the Prince William Sound in Kenai Fjords National Park. That was incredible. So cool to see that giant glacier calf. That was just phenomenal and really, really amazing. And then number 3 was taking the water taxi across Kachemak Bay in Homer to Kachemak Bay State Park and hiking up to the Grenwick Glacier. That was a beautiful hike, and the reward was this really cool glacier lake with all these little icebergs and big icebergs floating in it, and that was just really amazing. So, you know, we'll always take those memories with us, and I know that we will be back in Alaska someday, mark our words. Don't actually be surprised if we move up there for a season or 2. We are so in love with Alaska. It's just untouched, raw, beautiful scenery everywhere. As our friend Sarah said when she came up and visited us, she said the amount of eye candy is just crazy. And I think that's just such a way to sum it up. Eye candy, it's like just mind-blowing. But all good things must come to an end. That chapter has closed for now. We're about to start another one, and might I say, this could be our biggest adventure yet.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
So make sure that you guys tune back in for our next video where we kick that off, and we're really excited to continue pointing the van north.
Yeah, we hope you liked this video. If you did, thumbs up, like, subscribe. See you on the next adventure out there. Bye!